go. So the higher the emotional stakes in any given context, the more freedom that becomes apparent, the more likely it is that you'll experience a variety of resistant states. Because, again, there are a number of these cells that just put up barrier after barrier after barrier. And that, that feeling is the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of being out of your comfort zone, is actually a resistant state, isn't it? So it'll encourage you to basically step back into safety. Resistance emanates from a particular self that's being impacted at that time, with whatever the context is. So resistance produces an environment in your psychology or in your emotions, which we could call a dissonant state. Now, if it's a dissonant state in your mind, we could call that cognitive dissonance. If we could call that a dissonant state in your emotions, we could call that, an emotional dissonance. And so basically what's going on is a set of opposites. A set of motivational opposites. So, the easiest set of motivational opposites to see is will I or won't I? Will I go or will I stay? If I go, will I die? If I stay, will I regret? We see that in buying decisions. We see that in, I want to do these learning situations, but that means I've got to spend money, and then the voice says, well, yes, I've spent all this money before and it's never worked, so why is now going to be anything different? Which is why I say, spend your money on anything that rebuilds your foundations, not necessarily on shiny toys, shiny objects. Program after program after program, because again, you can't actually integrate these into a set of cells that are just not going to be supportive for your evolvement. It takes place between the desire for important outcomes and the battle between your primary and disowned selves. So those important outcomes remain aspirational. I would if I could if only this thing worked. The tug of war is often played out around money issues. It's a common experience when you're thinking about opportunities to change your results. It's this tug of war. Do I believe in my own capabilities enough to actually make this result a result that I really materialize? And then Mr. Doubt will step in and say, no way. And then Mr. Skeptic will step in and say, well, you've never done it before, so what's going to change now? And so, which internal voice is actually going to win the cognitive dissonance? Because you can't stay in that cognitive dissonance. You can't stay in emotional dissonance. If you're actually in too much emotional dissonance, you're going to find a way to numb it out. If you're in too much cognitive dissonance, you're actually going to find a way to numb it out. But ultimately, one side will win. The side that wins is the side that's got the greatest emotional leverage on you at that time. So if you want the side to win that could support you, you've got to get some emotional leverage on it. You've got to give it some fuel. And again, the more trust you have in you, and the more trust you have in those three things, the role model, the dedicated program of learning, the supportive psychosocial environment, the more trust, then you can now relax some of your control, give control over to that environment, to that learning program, to that mentor, if you like, because it's their job to get you a little bit further than you can actually get yourself.